Hello there. Pittsburgh Penguins, 3-1 series lead over the New York Rangers. They have a chance to end it once and for all Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. If that doesn't happen, they'll have a chance to end it on Friday night at PPG Paints Arena. And yes, I may have started to look for tickets for that game just to see if maybe, I have off work that day. Maybe I'm thinking about it to come up. But we have a full game recap episode for you all coming up right after this drop. We're going to go into everything that went right for the Penguins and everything that went wrong for the Rangers. That's all coming up right after this drop.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to a Monday episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at LO_Penguins. As usual, today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has covered all this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. That is BetOnline, where the game starts. So, as I said in my intro, the Pittsburgh Penguins are one win away from their first series victory since 2018 when they took out the Philadelphia Flyers in 6 games. I put this on my social media account for those that listened or watched the show on YouTube and do not follow me on there. If you would have told me that 4 games into this series that they would have had no contributions from Tristan frickin' Jarry, who played at a Vezina level for most of the season, and they had 3 wins that consisted of Casey DeSmith and Louis Domingue net, I would have slapped y'all silly. Just everyone that would have told me that, I would have slapped you all across the face. I am stunned that this is where we are at in this series. I said going into this, they look cooked. The legs don't look to be there. Right now, I look like a complete and utter, excuse my language, dumbass. That is what I look like right now. And I want to stress this to everyone. There is a long way to go in this series. I'm going to keep being a little pessimistic because, remember, I picked the Rangers in 7 to win my series prediction on the preview. I'm going to stick with that because, I'm very superstitious. And also, again, this is still not over. They beat the Penguins 3 times in a row in the regular season. The 4th game is always the hardest to win. You're going to get their best in each of these last 3 games if it does get to a game 7, especially on Wednesday. I know the Rangers stunk tonight, but they are going to come out pissed off on Wednesday. They're in front of their home fans. They don't want to play like that at Madison Square Garden, to say the least. This series is far from over, believe me. I just want to put that out there right now. Keep all those. I understand that people probably have the Igor gif ready to go with him barking at the Penguins and all that. I know that was bulletin board material. Keep all this stuff. If you're Penguins fans, listen to this podcast. Keep all that stuff in your drafts. Don't celebrate yet. This is not over. I understand the Penguins have won most of their series when they go up 3-1 in the Sidney Crosby era. The only one they did not win, 2014 against the New York Rangers. They lit up Henrik Lundqvist for 4 games. He then went on to only allow 3 goals in the next 3 games. It's possible. That's all I'm going to say. I know Shesterkin looks very broken right now. He finally looks human. Goaltending is very volatile. Who knows if he can go back to his God tier form? I'm just saying the Penguins are going to have to play at their very best if they want to eliminate the Rangers in one of these next 3 games. It's very nice that they are giving Tristan Jarry more time to come back. He probably will not be ready for game 5, but you may also not need him for that game. Maybe he's ready for game 6. That's the word that I poked around a little bit today. That's the word I got, that they're really hoping that he can be back for game 6 if necessary, and definitely game 7 if necessary, if the series goes back to Madison Square Garden on Sunday, which will, of course, be the final game. But, that's the word I got. But, it's just everything that could go right tonight did for the Penguins. And you want numbers? I am giving you all the data. Penguins had 53% of the shot attempts at 5v5, 65% of the scoring chances. You want to know high danger chances? Here you go. 20 high danger chances for the Penguins, One high danger chance against. I've been watching this sport for almost 20 years now. I know that's not that long. I know I have listeners of this podcast that have been watching this sport way longer. I get that. Trust me. I have never seen a team have 95% of the high danger chances in a game, especially in the playoffs. That was just a dominant level performance by the Penguins. 80% of the expected goals. And I am not done when it comes to data here. I'm going to refresh. I have all my tweets ready to go for you all right here. 5v5 expected goals per. This was a per evolving hockey. I'm on a natural stat trick, so a little bit different. 84%. That is the most lopsided playoff game by that metric since 2007, 2008, once all of that became available. And you all want more? I will gladly keep going with these numbers tonight. The Sidney Crosby line, which has been disgusting. Gerard Gallant has no matchup that he can really throw out there that's really shutting them down. 12 minutes of 5v5 ice time, 63% of the shot attempts, 93% of the expected goals. They outchanced the Rangers 10-2 when he was on the ice. I mean, this is vintage level stuff from Sidney Crosby. 9 points in the first 4 games. He now has 200 points. Only the fifth ever player to record that many points. Actually, no, excuse me. Only the 6th ever player to ever record 200 playoff points for his career. He actually tied Jaromir Jagr, for 5th all time in playoff points tonight. Just a remarkable achievement for him. What the level we are seeing at right now from Sid, that he is someone that is pissed. He's not happy with how these last 3 years has gone. He knows he's been shut down. He knows his line also has been shut down. He knows that the team has not won a playoff series since 2018, and he is willing them to try and win this series. Tonight really was the Sidney Crosby show. I know it's been the Sidney Crosby show for this entire series, but tonight especially, it was this show. Jake Gensel, he gets back on the score sheet again. He has also been tremendous. Where are the takes from these weird Yinzers last year when the Penguins lost to the Islanders that said, man, I would trade Jake Gensel for a bag of pucks. This guy is soft, as Michelle Therrien likes to say. I would trade him for Matthew Tkachuk and all this nonsense. And, where are these people now? Again, since he came into the league in 2017, only Braden Point and Alex Ovechkin have more playoff goals than him. That is how good this player is. And he is just absolutely torching whoever Gerard Gallant decides to put out there against him. There is no matchup right now that Gerard Gallant can put out there against the Crosby line and have it work. He is going to have to really dig deep to find some kind of line combination that can slow down Sid, because what we are seeing from Crosby right now, he is determined to have one last playoff run in this era with Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang. That is the main thing from what I am seeing. Yes, it was obviously great to chase Igor Shesterkin. I love seeing all the Yinzers chant Igor. I was against this in game 3 because he had played well in this series. He was at a .950 save percentage. They did it to Holtby a lot in the past. It really didn't work. I'm like, stop chanting his name, you bunch of cowards. But, he definitely, this was Pecorine level stuff we saw in game 3 and 4. He had no answer to what the Penguins were throwing at him. I think I'm not going to put most of the blame on him. I honestly think the Rangers have just done a horrific job of defending in front of him. He is being left out to dry on a lot of these goals. Credit to the Penguins. They have found another gear, and they're getting traffic in front of them, and the Rangers are not being able to get the bodies out of the way. But at the end of the day, a lot of these goals really can't be blamed on him just because the Rangers team defense is atrocious. I mean, for God's sake, they have Patrick Nemeth out there, who's basically their version of Jack Johnson. Jacob Trouba is not good. Adam Fox is obviously awesome, but he's having a series that he probably would want to forget at this point, especially on Monday night. He was absolutely terrible. They haven't had Ryan Lindgren for 3 of the games. I would imagine he'll be back for game 5. We'll see. Keandre Miller, he's been fine, but Braden Schneider, he's a rookie. You don't really know what you have in him. Justin Braun is not any good. The Rangers defense in their defensive zone have stunk. That is a massive talking point in this series. Nick Zararis, who has been on this show numerous times, he talked today on the Upper Bowl Jam podcast, touching on just that has been the main thing in this series outside of the Sidney Crosby line dominating them, was that the Rangers just they have had their defense has had no answer to what the Penguins are throwing at them. And I'll have more on that coming up in the second segment where I talk about the Mike Sullivan, Gerard Gallant storyline. But before I get into that, if my dog wants to stop, I have no idea what he's doing with the towel over here. I think he's just excited that I'm also excited. But our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. You can find all of the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NLF futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. That is BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we're back here in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Hunter Hodes. Follow this show's Twitter at LO_Penguins. So, as promised, I will say this. Mike Sullivan is taking Gerard Gallant's lunch money, spending it, and not even deciding to pay him back. He is badly out-coaching him in this series. Gallant has made basically no adjustments through these 4 games. It's almost like he's accepted his fate, even though, again, this series is not close to over. Anything is possible in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I've seen numerous teams come back from 3-1 down, but he really was not making. He just hasn't made any adjustments so far in this series. And Mike Sullivan, he has adjusted big time to the Rangers' attack. The Rangers run a rushed-based offense. They go from defense to offense really quickly, and they try to catch teams off guard. And Mike Sullivan has had his defensemen back a lot sooner to make sure that they're not caught off guard. And in turn, the Penguins are not giving up a lot of the chances that they gave up in the regular season against this team. They've been able to shut down their offense a lot more. For example, Mika Zibanejad, through 4 games, knock on wood, he was a no-show going into Game 5. I don't know what it is. The Penguins have done a masterful job on Zibanejad. Artemi Panarin, he has 1 goal in the 4 games. They have also done a very good job on him. Vetrano's obviously going to get his. Chris Kreider's going to get his. They're 2 very good players. But honestly, the Rangers' best line to me has been the Chytil, Kakko, Lafreniere line, the kids line, as they like to call it. They're actually being able to generate chances. It's the other lines that, they probably have more to give. And again, I would not be surprised if they do turn it on for Game 5. But, Sullivan has Gallant in hell right now. And this just goes to show, at least right now in this series, that Mike Sullivan is one of the 5 best coaches in the league. I've been told by so many people, I shouldn't say so many people, but some people in the fan base, Mike Sullivan can't adjust. He's not a good coach just because he lost a couple series to Barry frickin' Trotz, who is his equal. I will 100% die on that hill. Those are probably, outside of John Cooper, those are the 2 best coaches in this league. And somehow Barry Trotz got fired today. That is his equal because he has a great game plan to how to shut down the Penguins offense. So far, the Rangers have not been able to do that because Gallant has not been able to adjust. And again, Mike Sullivan is having his way with matchups. Last change tonight, he was deploying the Crosby line against whoever he wanted. That's obviously going to change because the Rangers will now have last change on Wednesday night. But it is crazy. I have no idea what Thrawn is doing over here as I am trying to talk. Hey, buddy, I'm trying to record right now. It's time to go to bed, bud. Yes, I'm just talking to my dog while I'm doing this podcast. Whatever. If that is noisy on the podcast, I am so sorry. But again, it is crazy how Mike Sullivan has just had his way in this series because, in the regular season series, the Rangers had their number. I mean, again, they owned them. That was the biggest reason why so many people did not want the Penguins to play them. And, myself included, I thought that, Shesterkin was going to be a lot. The Penguins have beaten him 3 times already. So I get that 4th win, then everyone can come out and have some fun on social media and all that stuff. But, everything is trending the right way right now. Sidney Crosby was able to tie the game tonight. Again, I already touched on his great performance. I saw Rangers fans, some people tweeting that was a 50-50 call. It looked like it at first. But that last angle, you could clearly see the puck was over the line. I'm not going to entertain the ref stuff. It's just a boring, tired narrative. at this point. And then from then on, I mean, Mark Friedman, of all people, gets goals. That was his first career Stanley Cup playoff goal. Danton Heinen, he gets his second playoff goal of the year. Jeff Carter, he's getting onto the score sheet. Mike Matheson, who's having an atrocious series, he gets on the score sheet. Another big talking point in this series has been the Penguins' depth scoring coming to life. I said after this team lost game 2, you need to be able to run 4 lines and get production from your bottom 6 and your defense at times. They were a 1-line team through 2 games, but Mike Sullivan must have, again, he made some adjustments. Some of the depth players started to step up. Brock McGinn in game 3, Jeff Carter, Evan Rodriguez, Danton Heinen again tonight, Mike Matheson, Mark Friedman, Danton Heinen, Jeff Carter, all these guys contributing to scoring goals. That's the big thing here for the Penguins. They're getting contributions from all over the lineup. That is how you win in the playoffs and you go deep into potentially making a cup run. You have to get scoring from all 4 of your lines. I mean, that's just, that is how it goes. If you don't, you're going to be up a creek. And so far with the Rangers, a lot of their offense has been from, some of their top players. Their depth, I think, has really killed them so far in this series. I have no idea why he is whining over here, but you know what? We're just, again, we're going with it. The content really never sleeps, as some of the other people like to say. But it's just, I mean, again, I really am stunned by what I have seen from the Penguins in this series. Again, I touched on the Jake Gensel goal. Evgeny Malkin roofs one over Alexander Georgiev. I mean, that was just a ridiculous shot. What a pass also by Kasperi Kapanen. I mean, he's been playing a lot better in these playoffs. Doesn't have the goal just yet. He's had a couple really nice chances that he hasn't finished on. Maybe if he could save one for game 5, that would be much appreciated. That's for sure. But, it's just been a total team effort tonight it was a total team effort tonight by the Penguins. You had Gallant in the postgame saying, we played soft. We were soft all over the ice. That's the biggest difference. We were soft all over the ice. So he went full Michel Therrien mode. He was not happy. And again, I was very surprised to see that level of performance from the Rangers. They looked disinterested right after the Penguins made it 4-1. Louis Domingue didn't even have to make a save after that. The only other goal he allowed was just a bad bounce off Mike Matheson's skate. He was fine, and I loved what Louis said after the game. I tweeted this on my Twitter. He's like, yeah, I didn't really have to do anything in this game tonight. Once they went up 3-4-1, I'm like, that's a perfect response. But the fact that the Penguins are 1 win away from winning this series in potentially 5 games with Louis freaking Domingue in net, that's crazy. I never would have thought this. That's for sure. Still more to get to. Coming up in the final segment, we're going to get to the special teams battle and why the Penguins continue to turn it around there, and go over some other performances that I thought were really big tonight. But before we get to that, summer is coming. And with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in your bags, in your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you are fueled for your summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars, they are healthy and they are delicious. No more sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to Built.com and order now. All Built Bars and coffee are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy eating them. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. You go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. When you go, try to get all your favorites like banana cream pie, raspberry, and double chocolate, and so many more. Remember, that's code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, we're back here on this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I am your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at LO_Penguins. So, touching on a couple other performances that I thought were much better again tonight. Marcus Pettersson, he continues to have a really good series. I don't think enough people are talking about it. He is top 10 in expected goals for among defensemen. He and Marino are doing the Lord's work right now. John Marino is actually number 1 among all defensemen expected goals for. The level of play that he is at right now, best hockey I've seen him play since his rookie year. Shout out to John. Just tremendous hockey. And I know I picked on him a lot during the regular season because he was not playing well, but he has reverted back to rookie form. And, maybe those hits from Ryan Reeves spark something in him. But, him and Pettersson on that pairing, they continue to just be lights out together. Jason Zucker tonight, he had another good game. Brian Rust, he's playing a bit better, to say the least. Heck, even Brian Boyle got onto the scoreboard as well. The Penguins might be able to get through a series with Brian Boyle playing, though Rickard Rakell, I think, is getting closer to a return. He participated in the morning skate on Monday. No contact. I would assume if the Penguins practice tomorrow, he will be there again. All eyes, though, will be on Tristan Jarry. Took shots for the first time before practice. Will he be ready to go at some point in this series? And will the Penguins even need him if they can close up this series? If he doesn't play on Wednesday and the Penguins win that game, he will get more rest going into round 2, where he will deservedly be the starter. I don't know where these takes are coming from people that are saying if the Penguins advance that Louis Domingue should be the starter. No, I am riding with the guy who played at a Vezina caliber level all season. I understand he's had playoff struggles in the past, but this will be his time to write his redemption story. And he is a much more polished NHL goaltender, to say the least. So again, don't really know where that stuff is coming from. I think it's just some hot take artist and that stuff. According to Money Puck tonight, the deserve to win meter, 98% for the Penguins, only 2% for the Rangers. That has to be a record on that website. Through 2 periods, I think this probably was updated. Penguins had 6 players with an expected goal share of 90% or higher. Evan Rodriguez, Teddy Bluger, Brian Rust, Brian Boyle, Jake Gensel, and Sidney Crosby. A few of those players you would expect, like the top line, but the fact that Rodriguez, Bluger, and Brian Boyle had a 92% expected goal share or higher through 2 periods, that is absolutely ridiculous from the Penguins. And again, speaking of Sidney Crosby, I've touched on a lot this episode, had 6 points in his last 14 playoff games or the last 3 postseasons. 9 points in 4 games. I'll repeat that again. 6 points in his last 14 games these last 3 years. That wrist surgery must have done something, because 9 points in his last 4 games. And I will close out with this. What the Penguins have done in this series to Shesterkin is very similar to what they did in 2016 when the Rangers had Henrik Lundqvist, another world-class goaltender who I personally think is a top 5 goaltender of all time. And they've gotten traffic in front of them. They've broken him at PPG Paints Arena. Obviously, it's going to be a different thing playing back at Madison Square Garden, where his home crowd will be around him. But how does he respond from getting those drubbings these last 2 games? Can the Penguins continue to exploit him and just use that regular season as bullets in the board material? Because they only scored 1 5v5 goal against the Rangers in 4 regular season games, and they're well over 10 now in these 4 games. I believe they have 20 goals in 4 games in this series, and almost all of them have come against Shesterkin. It's crazy how this series has totally flipped, to say the least, from where we were in the regular season. But I think that'll do it for this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. Oh, I did get one listener tweeted this to me about how should Mark Friedman stay in the lineup for Brian Boyle. And in my opinion, I personally think I would be down for that. But the problem is, who are you going to take out? Pettersson and Marino are playing at a very high level. Mike Matheson is still had a really good year, but he can't be playing with Chris Letang. Chadwick Weedle's been great. Mark Friedman is playing well, yes, but Brian Dumoulin he's needed for that top pair. If one of the other defensemen was struggling, I would say yes. But right now, I still think this team is better when Dumoulin is on the top pairing with Letang. They need to get Mike Matheson off that pair because he has been atrocious in these last 2 games. It's a miracle that the Penguins are up 3-1 with him playing at the level that he is right now. And shout out to Chris Letang, had a much better performance in Game 4, as I expected he would. He's not going to follow up a disastrous performance in Game 3, despite the team winning, with another god-awful performance. I will say that. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. We'll do another one of these on Tuesday to touch on Game 5 and what adjustments the Rangers could make and what the Penguins should be prepared for going into that elimination game. It's an exciting time. The Penguins, they'll have a chance to have handshakes in this one. And I apologize for Thon obsessively whining in the background, but you know what? That's puppies for you. He's very excited for what the Penguins are doing. But again, thank you all so much for listening. We'll see if the Penguins can close it out on Wednesday. We'll be back with another one of these on Tuesday.